Hello and greetings everyone. This is Darth Boreas once again, and today I wanted to talk about another Sith and Jedi video. This time I want to go in who would you rather join, the Sith or the Jedi. Now, this is of course a little bit difficult in the timeline of the Empire with Sidious or Palpatine, because there's basically not really a Sith order there. There's not that much in that regard. Also, after Order 66, obviously isn't much of a Jedi Order left. So we will go for the Old Republic times, for the Old Republic era, when actually both the Jedi and the Sith were basically at the height of their power, their height of their orders, their height of their strength, and basically pretty darn powerful on both sides. Now, who would you join? Now, this is obviously a question that many will say, well, I will become a Jedi and stuff like that, but it's not that easy, because the main thing is that you do not join the Jedi. You simply can't. The Jedi have very, very strict recruiting and hirement regulations and standards. Basically, if you want to become a Jedi, well, tough luck, because they won't take you. If you will be a Jedi, you don't really have a choice, because Jedi recruit small children. If you are like 4, 5, maybe 6 years old and show some force sensitivity, and the Jedi happen to find you, they will actually come to your parents, make them offer they more or less can't refuse, and take them with you. So do you have any choice in the matter? No, you don't. You're basically taken as a child when you don't know what's happening. There's some figure of authority coming in, taking you away from your parents, and that's that. You don't have any choice. Now, from that moment on, you are indoctrinated into the Jedi Order. You basically get brainwashed into the doctrine. You get told what to think, what to feel, how to behave, and all of that. And everyone you know will be a Jedi. Your friends will be Jedi. Your new family, kind of family, are Jedi. Your mentors or new father/mother figure are Jedi, and you are basically joining a cult. That's kind of what it is, against your will, by the way, or without giving any consent to it. You're just taken and indoctrinated. Now, once you reach a certain age, I think it's at the time you'll be an adult for your respective species, you're given the choice to leave the order. And technically speaking, you can leave the order anytime you want. Here's the problem though. All you know are the Jedi. They don't teach you how to survive out there. They don't teach you how to be on your own. They don't teach you how to be a self-sufficient person. They don't teach you any trade or any special skill that you can use outside the Jedi Temple. And all of your education makes you kinda removed from normal people. You don't really belong out there. You don't have any connections either. You don't know the cultures of other planets or species for the most part. All you really know is the Jedi Temple, and all the people that you care about are at the Jedi Temple, which also tells you to not care about anyone. That's everything you know, and leaving that behind, is that a choice? Like, it's not really, because most people who leave the Jedi Order are kicked out for one reason or the other. And if you are kicked out for basically researching stuff that they don't want you to research, or showing powers that you shouldn't have, they might even go after you and potentially even kill you, as happened a few times in history. So yeah, bad tough luck. If you are force sensitive and figure out that you have the force and you want to join the Jedi, they will say, nah, you're too old, no chance, bro. And they will leave you hanging like that. So what do you do in that position where you found out you are force sensitive and the Jedi won't take you? Well, you'll either go back to living a normal life and just never develop any skill with the force and let that potential rot and not go anywhere, which happens quite a lot, by the way. There's many people in the galaxy that kinda know that they have something to them. They are especially lucky, have super quick reflexes, maybe they are stronger than everyone else, and they don't even realize that it's the force giving them those capabilities. some of them figure out, hey, there is something. Is it the Force? Maybe it's the Force. Maybe I should get checked out. Well, the Jedi probably won't even check you out. And if it's going really bad and they think that you have too much dark side potential, they might take care of you in a very unpleasant way. That's the Jedi. So who do you turn to if you have this potential? Well, the only ones that you have any chance of getting to are the Sith, unless of course you are born on, say, Dathomir, but then you will be indoctrinated into the Night Sisters or the Night Brothers from the start. Different story. Sorcerers of Tun, same thing. So we're really talking Sith or Jedi. And the Sith, anyone can join. Literally anyone can join. You don't even have to be a Force sensitive in order to join the Sith, because the Sith are mostly a religion. And you can join the Sith troopers and serve the Sith Order and the Sith Empire as one of the troopers, and you will get a lot of good training. You will be taught how to defeat Force sensitives in combat, how to defend from them. You will get all the military training, and you'll have a relatively good life for a soldier, that is. You don't have to do that. You can just be a civilian too. But if you want to support the Sith and join the Sith Order, the Sith Trooper is a way that you can always join. In the Republic, if you're a Republican soldier, you don't have any affiliation with the Jedi Order or the Jedi and no say in anything. If you're a Sith Trooper, you can ascend to higher official ranks, and those are actually taken serious by the Sith Lords and the Sith Order. So if you are not a Force sensitive, you can still work your rank up and your way up the ladder in the Sith Order. Now you will never reach the highest ranks of the Sith Order. Obviously that's for Force sensitives only. But you can get pretty far and gain a lot of respect from your fellow Sith. So that actually works out. Now, if you do have Force potential, your best way if you want to join with the Sith is also to join the Sith Troopers and prove yourself. And if you're doing well enough, sooner or later an actual Sith, like a Force sensitive Sith, will recognize that and basically invite you to prove yourself. And if you prove yourself, they will then give you some tests, and depending on how you do on those tests, you will be sent to one of a bunch of different academies that the Sith have. You can be joining the Sith warriors and basically learn how to draw attention to yourself, how to survive on the battlefield, how to make everyone focus on you, basically tanking, so that the rest of the order can do whatever they are supposed to do. If you are showing particular strength with Force powers, you might become a Sith Inquisitor and focus on basically being Force artillery on the battlefield. If you are a specifically sneaky type of guy, you might become a Sith assassin and learn how to go around the battle and infiltrate the higher ranks of the opponent, spy and kill special valuable targets. If you are a monster in combat, you might become a Sith Marauder and just learn how to unleash hell and just unleash your fury on the battlefield and cutting everything down that stands in your way. If you are particularly accomplished and have a tactical mind, you actually might become a Sith Lord and actually rule over a certain area of the galaxy, probably a planet at first, maybe a star system later on. Now that's technically speaking the highest rank you can achieve in the Sith Order, because there's not really much above a Sith Lord. The only thing above the Sith Lords in the Old Republic Empire would be the Sith Council, which is a council of mostly 12, depending on the exact area you are looking into. And that's basically the same as the Jedi Council. It's basically the guys, each of them rule over a certain area of expertise that they are particularly familiar with, which is the whole idea that you have competent people in charge, and they, as a council, basically decide what happens. Above them is technically only Emperor Vitiate, who doesn't really do all that much in terms of ruling, except for giving a doctrine once or twice a millennium or something like that. So he's not really that involved. If you want to be a Darth, that's a different thing, because as I've spoken about already, the Darth title does not hold any position inside the order. It doesn't mean that you have special connections or resources or military behind you like a private army. The only thing the title Darth means is that you've conquered death, that you found some way of sustaining yourself way beyond your intended or natural lifespan. This can be achieved many ways, but we are really talking about one form of immortality or potential immortality or the other. Once you have that, you are a Darth. You don't even have to be a Sith Lord to become a Darth, though usually that requires a level of knowledge and force powers that you're probably a Sith Lord before you get the Darth title, though technically speaking there's no reason why you couldn't be a fresh Sith out of the gate and immediately get the Darth title, as long as you achieve some form of technical immortality. So that's to the ranks there. Now if you want to join the Sith, that's the way that you go. Now the real question is, why would one even want to join each order? And here's the real kicker, because many people, many fans would want to be Jedi. And I can see why. The Jedi are portrayed as very noble, very heroic, altruistic, helping others, finding inner peace, becoming Force ghosts after death and thus achieving some form of immortality. They seem to be rather chill people, rather fun people to hang out with, and they are basically inner peace incarnate. And if you're a fan of, say, Zen Buddhism, well, you're probably a big fan of the Jedi too. Now, would you really want to join the Jedi though? Because the Jedi are also hypocrites that say something and do the exact opposite. They are also people that commit a lot of horrible war crimes. We have a huge list of war crimes committed by the Jedi. Now, I'm not saying that the Sith didn't commit any war crimes, they absolutely did, but the Jedi did too. If you look at the Republic era, the Jedi created people to die on the battlefield. They led an army of slaves into combat and made children and youths, basically their Padawans, fight in a war. Great peacekeeping, great pacifism right there. You have the Jedi basically abducting children, well, not literally, but sort of, yeah, and brainwashing kids. The Sith don't do any of that. If you want to be a Sith, you have to prove yourself, and proving yourself means that you first of all have to show that you are serious about it, that you really want that you know what you're getting into, and you're capable of actually doing it. The Jedi don't have any of those requirements. The only thing you have to do is impress someone while you are basically a child and have some potential with the Force. That's really the only requirement, and you have to be found, of course. That's if your parents don't outright report you, because they might be afraid of raising someone with Force powers. I mean, parenting a normal child is scary enough, and they can't break your neck on accident, so yeah. Now with that said, the Jedi are the guardians of peace, so they say, yet they're somehow constantly at war. They are usually very, very tolerant, which I get. That's basically the doctrine. They teach you to not have emotions, and yes, I know this is controversial, but if you look at the entire story of Anakin, he is told to not care for his mom, who's still in slavery, by the way, not care about his wife's death, not care about the fate of his children. He's just told to simply not care. Is that the kind of group we want to be associated with, that instead of supporting you, just tell you to get over it? Not sure that's a good way to deal with that. The Jedi have many failings, and actually Luke himself, like Luke Skywalker, acknowledges that the Jedi of old had a lot of failings and did a lot of stuff wrong, which is why he basically did a 180 on most of their rules, like the whole marriage, emotion stuff like that. The Jedi are very strict with their rules and their enforcement. They will basically brainwash you and scold you for every failing of their relatively strict code. they will, as seen with Ahsoka, drop you the instant you become somehow uncomfortable for the Order, even if it's not your own fault, by the way. They will not stand up for you, and they will, as we see with Anakin, do the most vile things to you if you don't live up to their standards. I'm not saying when he turns dark side, I mean before that, during the Clone Wars. They will not acknowledge how strong you've become, or how much you have grown, or how much promise you show. They will only judge you by how you actually behave according to their code, not your actual accomplishments out there in the world. Which makes sense for the Jedi, but it seems a bit unfair, and is one of the major reasons why Anakin falls and why Dooku went dark side. Meanwhile, you also have a lot of Jedi who either become fallen Jedi and just join the dark side, or who even become Sith. And the other way around, this is barely ever happening. I can't even think of a single example right now. Maybe was the Exile canonically ever Sith? I don't think so. Revan was, but he didn't become a real Jedi later. Like he joined the light side again, but I don't think he went full on Jedi again, because the council just didn't want him, basically. Which is fun, because they brainwashed Revan, cut his ties to the Force, and when he somehow managed to go light side again, they still didn't want him. So, interesting decisions right there. So, would you really want to be a Jedi? They are basically monks, more or less. And the life of a monk is really not for everyone. That's for very few people. Could you imagine being a Buddhistic monk living in a monastery all day, just meditating, sitting around some other dudes and getting old slowly? With the highlight of your life being basically supper? Some do, some love that, but the actual number of those people is ridiculously small, and most of them are already monks in some religious order. Now, the Sith, on the other hand, they allow you to be your true self. They want you to be your true self. They want you to live out your emotions. They want you to harness your emotions and use them for something more useful than just, say, a quick burst of anger. They want you to use your emotions to achieve your goals. Your goals. They try to put you in a point in the order where you are the most valuable for the order, and most likely yourself too, because that's the area where you shine. Meanwhile, the Jedi tend to put people into positions that they're absolutely not fit for in order to teach them something. As example, they paired Ahsoka and Anakin together because they both have very similar flaws, and they hoped that Ahsoka would give Anakin a second thought, and so that Anakin would change his behavior, seeing how annoying Ahsoka can be. What actually happened was the exact opposite. They both went totally nuts, which any sane person could have told them that. They knew that Anakin wasn't the best teacher for Ahsoka. They put Ahsoka there to teach Anakin. And again, Ahsoka was the Padawan in this scenario. She was the one supposed to be taught, and they used her to teach Anakin, which is quite unfair to both of them, honestly. And also not making use of their potential. And the Sith, they are about efficiency. They will put you wherever you are most likely to excel. And that means that you have the best chances of climbing the ranks there. And for the Sith, your achievements, your accomplishments is really the only thing that counts. They don't really care about how you interpret the Sith code. They don't really care how you feel about something or what you do in your free time, in your spare time. They care about results. If you deliver the results, you will get somewhere in the order. There's this misconception that Sith always have to kill their superiors or intrigue and stuff like that. That's actually punished. If you're caught, it's punished. Now, it's definitely a way that many Sith progressed, by just killing their superiors without anyone knowing, but if you're caught, you're dead too. So that's a high-risk game that is highly discouraged among the Sith. The Sith of old, Rule of Two, completely different story, but back in the Old Republic, the Sith had some honor, and they were of the view that if you can't take on a a problem head on and just brute force it, you are too weak. So anything like manipulation, intrigue, and stuff like that was out the window, because that's a tool for the weak. Now, the Sith are also very much about freedom and doing what you want. If you want to be in love and have a girlfriend, you absolutely can. Is it advisable? No, they're not promoting it either, but they're not outlawing it or forbidding it in any way, form, or form. Which, by the way, the Jedi do. If you want to have children as a Sith, you absolutely can. Should you? That's debatable, but you can. With the Jedi, that's a nope. If you, I don't know, whatever you want to do in your spare time with pleasure or whatever, the Sith don't care. The Jedi have rules on that. As a Jedi, you're not supposed to get drunk, as example. As for the Sith, you do you. We care about results. What else you do doesn't matter. So the Sith offer freedom, and they actually will train you in the things that you're good at. They don't want you to work on your weaknesses. They want you to focus on your strengths and make you as powerful as you can. That's the whole idea. Now, the Sith also have their issues, of course. There is the issue that you might get backstabbed sooner or later by your pupils or some rival. That's discouraged, but it happens. You might also run into the problem that the Sith, especially your superiors, are very likely to do things that you morally do not agree with, and they can be pretty cruel and gruesome. That happens. Do you want to support that? I don't know. They also do some horrible experiments, sometimes without anyone knowing that they're doing it. Do you want to support that? Not sure. There is many problems with the whole Sith idea of that the weak are supposed to serve the strong. This is kind of brutal, and that is definitely not a, let's say, left-wing kind of thought, but it's actually the reality of nature. I had a YouTuber say it brilliantly. In nature, the strong survive, the weak die. That's how things are. If a lioness has 4 cubs and one of them is weak, she will abandon it, because any strength spent on that one weak child will first of all take away potential strength from the other 3, and the one weak child is probably gonna die anyway, so rather end it quick and not waste any energy, because in nature wasting energy is a bad idea. Which, by the way, is a great argument. Are the Jedi actually natural, or aren't the Sith way more in line with nature? Because nature is brutal, nature is unforgiving, nature is deadly, and nature is brutally honest, and so are the Sith. The Jedi, meanwhile, they are more anti-nature, because they protect those that can't protect themselves. Is that noble? Yes. Is that natural? Absolutely not. You see that basically nowhere in nature. The weak are abandoned in basically all places. Now, the Sith don't abandon the weak, they just want you to know your place. So if you are weak, you are supposed to serve your superiors. That's how things are with the Sith, that's how things are in your job, that's how things are in nature. And as long as you do that, they will give you some level of protection and at least a living. That's maybe not the most pleasant way of existing, but it's still, you still stay alive and have some protection and security. And that's something that I spoke a lot about. The Sith Empire actually always ended up being the better option for the vast majority of the galaxy, with trade flourishing, crime going down, order being established, things actually working and running on time, with technological advances, societal advances, slavery going down, stuff like that. They even made the Hutts pay taxes, by the way. When you are with the Republic, then things go downhill. Slavery increases, crime increases, trade halts, technology stagnates, and it's just a slow devolving of society. So, which one do you want to support? Probably, most likely, you wouldn't want to join either of those two options and just be either a normal person or try to find your own way out there, which is really difficult, because the Sith and the Jedi kinda hoard all of the knowledge, and in order to open a holocron, you already kind of have to know how to do that. So it's really difficult to be a force sensitive developing your powers on your own. So you might still want to join up with one of the options. There's obviously other orders that you could join too, depending on the timeline. For many, they might want to join the Knights of Sarkul, though I don't think you can join them unless you are born on Sarkul. Just a small problem there. Same goes for some other orders. Like the Iron Knights won't take you if you are born at all, because they are fully robotics force sensitives, like they are force sensitive androids, because of kyber crystals in their mechanics and stuff like that. But there is, technically speaking, a few gray orders that you might be able to join, though those are usually very unknown and very small. Yeah. So there are other Darksiders that you could theoretically join, though practically that's also pretty difficult. Your best chance would be to band together with a bunch of Fallen Jedi, but those are completely different from each other, and there's really nothing you can say about them for certain. So which would you want to join? None of the option is really good, but I personally think that one option is less bad than the others. Would I want to be a Sith? Honestly, I'd rather not, because it's super demanding and they really push you hard all the time, because they want you to make into the best version of yourself that you can be. They will always push you towards excellence. They will always give you more weight to carry, so that you actually advance and become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And to a certain degree, I think that's fine. It's bringing out the best in people. It's also bringing out the worst in people. And this constant pressure can make it really hard to enjoy life, which is why few Sith seem to actually do that, even though they have the freedom to do that. With the Jedi, well, similar issue. You're not pushed that hard. You're actually told to not push hard, but you're also not getting any enjoyment out of life. So which one is better? I guess you're most likely to get older on average as a Jedi than as a Sith. But as a Sith, you have a much better grasp of technical, theoretical immortality, and you get more powers and more riches and more, you know the word I can't say of YouTube, but rhymes with that. There is some nice bonuses or boni to be a Sith. There are not really to be a Jedi. So if I have to choose one of them, I'd rather be a Sith than a Jedi. Though I honestly have to say that I probably would wish that I'm not even a force sensitive and just can be a normal guy who is not drawn into the war and not involved with any of the shit, just having a normal, somewhat well-paid job somewhere. I think that's the most actually preferential point for most people. Now, with the force powers, sure, you can do a lot of cool things, but is it really improving your life? Like, are you so much about, I don't know, force healing or force lightning or something that you'd basically sacrifice the rest of your life in order to pursue that? Isn't that a little bit unhealthy? Like that's a power fantasy right there. If you want to, sure, there's people in real life that do the most extreme things to get far into professional sports, as example. They do very unhealthy things that might kill them just to be among the best. If you're that kind of person, I'd suggest you go with the Sith, because they are all about that. Some people just want to do anything to do with life and just relax and chill. That's more the Jedi. And if you just want to enjoy life, I'd suggest you don't join either of the options and just be a normal dude. But if you are force sensitive, you'll probably always kind of regret not developing your powers. But that's just me. Now, with that said, I would like to hear your opinion in the comments. I wish you a fantastic day. Have a wonderful, well, in this area it's nighttime, but may the force be with you.